team. So I just got off a call with Barbie and my three diamond girls. She was so generous to take the time to speak with us, and she just has a way of cutting through all the stuff and figuring out what's really holding a person back. And the call was incredible. I know we all got so much out of that call. But the big thing that came out of that call for me was the fact that I'm not sharing my whole story with you guys. I don't share my whole story on my page. It's hard to share, so I don't. And I realized that if Barbie's story had started with success, if Barbie's story had started at the point where she already was a successful professor, I don't know that I would have ever become a coach, because I would have doubted my ability to do what she did, because her story started with success and mine doesn't. But that is what I share. I share my story from the point when I was already successful in my corporate career. So I'm going to share my whole story with you guys. I'm going to start here and tell my team about my story. So my family immigrated from Mexico when I was almost 4. I have 7 siblings, and we moved over here, and my dad worked for minimum wage, trying to provide for a family of 10. I'm sure that you can imagine how difficult that was. And I was the kid in school who, the only kid who didn't have a bike for the bike-a-thon, and didn't have a jump rope for the jump-a-thon fundraiser, and didn't have the clothes that everybody else was wearing, and couldn't go on all the field trips and everything, because it just wasn't a possibility in the budget at the time. And my dad is the hardest worker of anybody that I know. But it was difficult. So coming from that background, like I know what it's like to be a kid and wonder if all the bills are going to be paid, if all the obligations are going to be met. And I felt the stress of that at a really young age. And then, excuse me, and then I got married at 18. My husband and I were 18, and got married just a couple months out of high school. Just to like young romantics. And my husband is also such a hard worker. So he worked and I worked, but it wasn't enough. I had a $40 grocery budget every week, and I remember the weeks that I had to buy laundry detergent, I kind of panicked, because that's at the time it was such a big chunk of money compared to the grocery budget that I had. So we lived off of processed foods because that's what we had. That's what was cheap. That's what I could afford. Produce and proteins and all of that stuff, it just wasn't a possibility. So, and I remember often buying a pizza from 2-for-1 Pizza because it was cheaper than going grocery shopping. And so my husband and I both worked really, really hard. And although I didn't feel like college was a possibility for me when I graduated high school, we were both working full time and found a way to get me into college, so that I could get some education and have the opportunity to have a better career. But we lived very much paycheck to paycheck, and going into debt for just like groceries, putting groceries on our credit card, putting just regular life stuff on our credit card. And when my daughter came along 5 years later, I just realized, like, my parents moved countries so that we could have an opportunity at a better life. They wanted for us to be able to do more and to have the opportunity to live the life that we wanted to live. So I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to feel like there's no way out and that you're stuck. And when my daughter was born, I just realized, like, this is not the life that I want for her. I don't want her to not be able to take advantage of field trips. I don't want for her to not be the only kid without a bike at school, and I just wanted more for her. I wanted our kids to have every opportunity to go to any school that they might want to go to. And most of all, I didn't want my kids to feel the stress and the strain of her parents being overextended and not having the ability to meet obligations financially. So it was at that point that my husband and I decided we'd move across the country, and he made an enormous career change, a complete 180 sort of career change, and so did I. And it was at that point that we had started to become successful, because we took this enormous risk moving across the country, and we decided that we were going to create a bigger vision for our future. So my story doesn't begin at the point that I had a successful corporate career and where I was making six figures. That was a huge departure from where I began. So when Beachbody came along and I saw that I had the ability to provide a great income for my family and to help provide security for us, to get out of debt to the point where we can be free from not only credit card debt and consumer debt and car payments, we can also become free of our mortgage. I knew that this was the opportunity that I'd been waiting for, because I get to follow my passion in fitness and in helping people. But there is this passion in my heart to be free of debt and to have security, because that is the life that I want for my family. I want the life that is coming in the next few years, where no matter what happens with the economy, no matter what happens with our jobs, if our mortgage is paid off, we are going to be okay. I know what it's like to struggle. I don't want to go there again, but even more than that, I don't want my kids to know what that's like. So I hope this gives you guys a bit more insight into me and into my life, and into the fact that my story doesn't start with success. So I would love to hear more about your stories. I'd love to hear more about your goals. And send me a message, talk to me. We can make this happen for you. I'm not special in any way. I had no advantages in life. So if I can do this, truly, guys, you can do it too.